Everyone. Good morning. This is Adino Sunday.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Nice to have you on board. This is Adino Sunday, and I work with the research department of NACCIMA. Now we are here for an event which you all are aware of, and it's just to orientate us about what we need to know about the MyKibo NACCIMA platform. Currently, this is what it's all about. MyKibo is on a mission to promote Africa's agribusiness to the world. To the world in the sense that how best can we promote African brands and how best can we grow African exports to the rest of the world within and outside Africa. That is why we are here. So in this gathering here, we have attendees from who are into export activities in Nigeria and the MyKibo team. So I welcome you once again on this platform. Following after this, we'll have the opening remarks by the NACCIMA Business Women Group chairperson in person of Mrs. Patrick Itiakwa, followed by the chairman, NACCIMA Youth Group leader, Group Chairman Mohammed Adamu Mohammed. Then we have the presentation. Before then, I'll do a quick bio about the presenters, the person of from the MyKibo team. Then we have the QA. You can type in your questions in the chat box. Then we have the vote of thanks. So without further ado, I will allow Mrs. Patricia Idakwa to have the floor for the opening remarks. You're welcome, everyone. Mrs. Patricia, please.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, you are all welcome to today's program. It's my pleasure to be part of this program. I welcome you, our MyKibo partners, as we collaborate in this business. As we already know, NACCIMA cuts across several sectors: commerce, agriculture, industries, and mines. So I will be begging our participants to pay attention to what our panelists will be giving to us today. And our panelists, what we are also expecting from you as participants are areas where we can be connected to the international market. Sometimes we manufacture, but taking it out becomes a problem. So we want you to look at that area where our products can easily go. Those that manufacture, those that are into selling, mining, we're actually expecting a lot from this program. I welcome you all to this program. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Mr. Alhaji Mohammed Adamu Mohammed to give his opening remarks.
Good morning, the organizers, and good morning, members from the Secretariat and all department. My name is Mohammed Adamu, Chairman, NACCIMA Youth Entrepreneurs. We have members who are ready to export their finished product to up global market, and MyKibo project, it will help us a lot tapping the untapped potential market. This I would appreciate a full partnership with our Igbo team as well as cooperation in terms of partnering to export the product of NACCIMA Youth product. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. So to start with, I would introduce Dr. Hannett Okresion, a member of the MyKibo team. I'll give a bio about her, then she would have the floor going forward. Dr. Hannett is an internationally renowned and certified Africa business trainer and the founder of MyKibo.com. As a food security expert for Africa, she has spent the last 22 years of her career working in and with Africa with a mission to contribute towards the empowerment of people and business owners, both on the continent and in the diaspora. Dr. Annette is the co-author of the book, 101 Ways to Make Money in Africa. She has been featured on Forbes Africa, the Africa Club of Air France, KLM, Newsweek, the high-profile Africa CEO Forum, and has spoken at Google, among others. Dr. Annette also leads a growing and ambitious Africa Business Academic Group online and regularly conducts business and investment missions to Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Annette. You have the floor, please.
Thank you so much, Babatunde, for the beautiful introduction, and also to the rest of the team. We are today in a semi-lockdown here, so please bear with me. I hope the quality will be good streaming from home. A very warm welcome to the entire team of the Chamber, and also to all the participants attending today. As I have been introduced, I am the founder and CEO of NACCIMA-MyKibo. I have spent the last 22 years in regards to empowering Africa around the agricultural sector. So I'm very well aware working with farmers and also with herders and pastoralists of livestock products on the ground in the villages. And I'm very, very excited about sharing our vision of providing marketplaces for African products, because the access to markets, of course, is a major challenge. So let me allow me to share my screen to give you a short presentation. All right. All right, so let's dive in. So NACCIMA, first of all, maybe just briefly, the name, a lot of people ask us about the name. Kibo is the highest mountain top, the highest peak in Africa. It is the peak on Mount Kilimanjaro, which is called Kibo. So NACCIMA has been inspired by that highest peak for all of us to aim high in our businesses and lives and for the continent of Africa. And NACCIMA basically is an extension of your supply chain. Today, we want to very briefly touch on the future of trade with and out of Africa, how NACCIMA can increase your earnings and the relationships that you want to build throughout the supply chain, operational excellence in your supply chain, how to succeed on NACCIMA, and then very practically, how you can actually register on NACCIMA very fast. So we shall get started. As Babatunde has pointed out, NACCIMA is a agri-business marketplace in Africa and for African products. It is growing very fast at the moment. We have been very much in concept stage for the last 2 years, testing the platform, mainly with importers from the United States and United Kingdom. So far, we have over 1,000 buyers registered, and we are featuring well over 100 products. Let me just change the way I view just a second, please. I view the screen. And we are sharing well over 150, 200 products. We have 116 suppliers from about 9 countries in Africa registered on the platform. And again, this is just the concept stage. So it has been proven to be very, very successful, and we continue to grow very fast. And we're very excited about the prospect of working together with suppliers of agribusiness products and manufacturers in Nigeria. So just briefly, of course, the future of trade within and out of Africa, why NACCIMA is a really smart business model and why we believe it's the right time. Well, first of all, consumer trends around the globe are really changing. And for us in the diaspora in the West, where we get products made available from across the world, we can see that change. People are opting more and more for organic food. People are prepared to pay more for good quality, natural, organic food. They want fair trade in a way that the middlemen are cut out as much as possible. People want products directly from the source. And they want products that are environmentally friendly, that have environmentally friendly solutions integrated, but also that are ethically sourced. And we believe that Africa really has a competitive advantage in this regard compared to many other markets in the world. And it is our goal in MyKibo to really use that competitive advantage and to develop those supply chains so we can establish Africa and Nigeria also in particular as a a very meaningful trade partner in the world. Of course, what do governments want at this point? What Africa needs when we're looking at a macro aspect, we want more exports, so more of the money can stay in Africa. We want, of course, also value added products, again, to create jobs, improve livelihoods and the income of those in the villages, be it the farmers or the herders, and also, of course, the workforce in the cities. The future of trade within and out of Africa, again, means that when we're looking at the different players, the different stakeholders here, of course, at the center, there's also you, the supplier, the manufacturer. I know some of you will be manufacturing directly and adding value in Nigeria. Others of you may be collecting some of the products available from farmers and corporations and women groups on the ground. And of course, you want more value for money for your products. You want to increase your income and your sales. You want more customers, more knowledge. We have learned, of course, again and again, the capacity building, the training in regards to how to become competitive in the international market is of huge importance to all of us. And then we want better prices, especially when we are looking at packaging prices and shipping prices. This is still a major problem for producers like as yourself in Africa. MyKibo in this regard provides more opportunity for transactions. Basically, we are establishing the links between the buyers and the sellers. And we want to really focus on improved communication between you and the buyers. The buyers have two major challenges. One is, how do they find reliable suppliers in Africa? They may have the wish or the vision or goal to buy from Africa, but very often it stops there because they don't really know how to find reliable suppliers, and we are vetting them at our end. But on top of that, the other challenge that buyers are facing from our experience is that once they have found reliable suppliers, including on MyKibo, there's often a lack of fast responsiveness. So we get a lot of emails, if I do business with Alibaba or in the US, I get a reply within 24 hours. When I do business with Africa, I have to wait for days or even weeks to get a reply. So these are some of the communication challenges that we want to solve together, and Charlotte will also tap into that later in this presentation. We want to quickly let you know how MyKibo stands out and what we can do for you. So number one, we promote your products for free. That means that anyone featuring their products on MyKibo can promote and sell their products for free. We are making the money from the importer end, and we'll dive more into this during the Q&A. We also provide free training on custom regulations, policies, logistics, supply chains. So two of our trainers are in-house today. It is Ate Atebong and Charlotte Gams, but we have also received a go-ahead from DHL on training our suppliers in custom regulations. And that brings us to the next point. DHL and MyKibo, we have entered a new partnership phase. where we are focusing on cutting down the cost of shipments, especially sample shipments and smaller shipments by air to up to 200 kg. Our buyers, of course, want African products, and that is very important to understand, because MyKibo is relevant for the context of Africa. If you go on Alibaba, you are surrounded with Chinese products. People go on Alibaba to mainly buy from China. MyKibo will be all about buying from Africa, and therefore it becomes hugely relevant to you and your brand. We also understand both sides of the marketplace. We have a unique insight both on the supplier end and their challenges, and on the buyer end and their challenges. And we have the goal of sharing communication, feedback, and data to both ends, so that we can improve the communication and trade among each other. And then, of course, productive relationship and partnerships is something that we are focusing on. We have already signed partnerships, deals with RDB, the Rwandan Development Board in Rwanda, with DHL, with the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. We also have the go-ahead from the Uganda Export Promotion Authority, and now we are entering a new phase of partnerships with Nigeria, of course, the biggest market in Africa, and we're very, very excited about that. At this point, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Charlotte. Please continue, Charlotte.
No worries. So, just get my screen on. Good morning, everybody. So I'll just follow up on what Dr. Harnett was saying about relationships, and just kind of touch on the different types of relationships that we can have throughout the supply chain. So there's primarily two types. We've got a distant type of relationship and a collaborative type. And businesses can fit anywhere along the spectrum. So on one hand, we've got the vendors and their relationship with their buyers or their exporters, and their the relationship between importer and exporter, really kind of like looking at the one-off ad hoc kind of orders, which is absolutely fine. But on the other end of the spectrum as well, we've got the collaborative relationships where we're really looking at that strategic alliance, kind of like developing exporters as being partners with the importers. And that's really where the value is added. And as Dr. Harnett mentioned earlier on, it's all about making sure we're adding as much value as we can. And MyKibo supports both ends of the spectrum, but obviously with that bias towards value added. The ultimate goal really then is to just make sure, and I think this is the same for all of our all of the exporters, is that developing a kind of relationship whereby your product is sold before you've actually manufactured or before it's actually been produced. Now that doesn't happen overnight, but it's definitely possible with a lot of work and just making sure we harness and elaborate on those relationships that we've got. Okay, can we move on to the next slide?
Hold on. Yes, Charlotte, I hear you. Stuck. Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. And then so what we've got here really is just to kind of like show you that in order to form those kind of strategic partnerships and those strategic relationships I've just mentioned, many businesses, from your kind of your big multinationals to kind of like, throughout their supply chain as well, they kind of use this integrated business approach where think of your business as a house. Your house is built on these firm foundations, which looks at kind of like your organization, how you visually manage your operations, and ensuring that you've got your standardization in place. So that ultimately, once you put the pillars on, your pillars being the systems within the business, what we're trying to get is a repeatable product, a repeatable process, because that ultimately leads to your customer satisfaction. And once you've got customer satisfaction, naturally, your sales, your profit, and your cash flow will ultimately come. So that's kind of like very high level about how you can kind of like take your relationships, use that operationally with within your business. And again, just pulling it back to MyKibo. So as Dr. Harnett mentioned, primarily we're there to help you connect you to the importers, but also we've got the expertise to actually support you and actually making sure that we've got the operational processes as well in place to help you maintain that customer satisfaction once you've got them. That's it from me.
Great. So we'll hand over to Ate, our logistics expert.
Hello, Tana, do you hear me?
Yes, Ate, go ahead, please.
Great. To add on what my colleagues have talked about, this is extremely exciting. I think I get more and more wise each time I listen to them. So in order to succeed on MyKibo, we've just put some points together, which I'll touch on a little bit just to get you thinking. The first thing you have to think about is when you're reaching an international market, you have to play an international game. You have to look at what the companies that are existing in the international market are doing and forget a little bit more, put what your national or local market wants and think, what is the quality that your customer is willing to pay for? And Dr. Hannah talked a little bit about this in the beginning, about us wanting to create as much value as possible in Africa. And if we have to do that, we have to be able to meet international standards of quality. While this may sound difficult from a high level, we're not talking about creating industries and factories. We're talking about daily quality things you can do from your farm all the way to your export product that increases the value for your product. The next thing is reliability and continuity. We've touched a little bit about that. People have to know you're there as a business. Buyers have to reach you. You have to be there. You have to say things that you can do, and you have to do things that you say that you can do. If you cannot do anything, if you cannot supply in time, if you cannot meet the requirements, it is extremely important for buyers that you tell the truth, and that interaction with people creates a reliability, as my colleague Charlotte talked about, builds those relationships with people over time for the long run. I mean, if you're selling in a marketplace, physical market, be it Cameroon or Nigeria or somewhere, you just want to meet somebody to come in front of you, buy something and go away. That's a spot on. But what we're doing here is we're building relationships with people over time, and you want those relationships to be reliable, and you want the buyer to know you will be there and you have that continuity. Another thing we see, which is a huge issue, is packaging. Now, I talked a little bit about reaching the international market. If you look around the shops in any city in Nigeria, we still have an issue where products that are manufactured locally and not bought when they stand beside products that are manufactured abroad. It is not necessarily the cost or the name of the product. Sometimes we're used to brands like Johnson & Johnson, Dove, and we just buy them without thinking. But when you come to this special market, you have good, beautiful organic products with fantastic value. You want to package them in a way that tells the product's real story and creates the real value. You don't want a foreign multinational company to buy the same product and put it in a different packaging and sell it to your market at a higher price than you can do. So packaging is extremely, extremely important. And I'm also a buyer of products from Africa. I see that it is a huge benefit to have proper packaging for your product. Communication, Dr. Hannah talked a little bit about this. This has also something to do with reliability. When you communicate with people, buyers, now we have WhatsApp for business. You can put up a reply on your WhatsApp when people contact you, say, I would get back to you within 5 to 10 days, and make sure you do that. Do not overpromise and underdeliver. Better you underpromise and overdeliver. Make sure that you have proactive communication with your people, with your buyers. You're talking to people knowing that you have the intention of building long-lasting relationships and make good money over time. The next thing is show the best side of your product and company. This is something I find very, very strange with African companies. We have a tendency to not show the best side of our products. We tell the best side of our products, but we don't show the best side of our products. It has to do with packaging. If you take an organic product, which has been grown, say coffee, which everybody can understand, a commodity like coffee. If you take coffee that has been grown in a beautiful area in Nigeria with the sun and farmers that have done a great job, and you put it in horrible packaging, you are not showing the best of that product. And you do not expect at that time then for people to buy that product at the same value like they will buy a product that is good looking. We all know people don't only buy the product that is inside, people also buy the packaging, people buy the story, people buy the presentation. So it is extremely important that you show the best sides of your product, not exaggerated, but the best side of your products. Negotiations and pricing. The higher the volumes you sell, the more press will be on price. Be prepared for that. When you go into meetings, you must have done your homework to know what this product is in the market. You can find all this information online. If you're selling finished goods into somebody in Germany, you can go into German sites and find out what do they take for neem oil? What does shea butter cost there? So you know what to expect. You can go into sites like Alibaba, for example, and find comparison and know what you're selling. When it's well packaged, you build a good relationship, then you can ask for greater value. But be sure that when you go into meetings with people, when people contact you, you have your price lists. Maybe you already have a list and you send your price list out. And when it comes to pricing, I know the markets that in many markets in Africa or West Africa, people do not like to show their pricing. So you can sense the buyer and give the right price. That is not a successful strategy on the market, which is open, where people can go online and find prices. The more safe you are with your pricing and have a price list, the better it is for you to negotiate. And Charlotte touched on this point. We cannot say this enough. Prepare to a mindset for building long-lasting partnerships. The people you succeed with and make businesses with over time have to know that you're there. And when you're not there, many times, I have a company myself, we will wait for those buyers that we trust and wait for them to have products ready. We support them to have their products ready. So from the buyer side, buyers expect you to build long-lasting relationships because that is what they sell if you're selling bulk. If I sell through Amazon, or if I sell to a chain, I expect that I build a good relationship with you, the supplier, so that I always have products to supply. And that is a mindset that we must take into the meetings. The last thing I want to talk about is certifications and documentations. The world is global. Products fly all over the world, from China to Asia tomorrow. There is so much happening. The only way that the governments can secure what the consumers eat is through certifications and documentations. You have to have this up to date. You have to have this printed or online and ready to send out. The faster you can send out your documentation, your price list, show that you are in for the long run, the better the negotiation. So this is a mindset we need to carry, that out of your product that you sell, the presentation of your product, your communication with people, and the wanting to build long-lasting relationships is what actually gets them to buy from you in the long run. If I have 20 suppliers of moringa powder from the continent and I wish to buy, I know the price of moringa internationally. You probably all supply the same price. The difference between buying from you and somebody else are these things we're talking about. So what Dr. Hannah talked about and what Charlotte talked about, these are key to succeeding on MyKibo, and of course, succeeding in the international market. And we're here to build a partnership in the long run to support you to succeed in your international trade. So thank you. That's it from me. And if there are any questions, we can take them at the end.
Yeah, I want to hand over quickly to Ange, just to let everyone know what are the practical steps to register on MyKibo.
Yes, sorry, my video won't start, but registering on MyKibo is simple. All you have to do is submit your export license and your local business registration certificate to info@mykibo.com. You can also submit your email in the messages here in the chat, and we'll reach out to you. Thank you.
Fantastic. So maybe everyone can take a screenshot. We have finalized here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a nice presentation we've had so far from the MyKibo team. Now, we've gained a lot, no doubt. More like getting the asked products from the direct source, improve your service, play in the international markets, and see to it that you are relatable with, build a relationship. These are the things we've learned from this interactive session. And this gathering, this virtual meeting is on our YouTube platform, so you can always go back to it and play it over to get it over and again. If you have any questions to ask, we will be available to answer them. So I'd like to know if you have any questions for now. Someone asked the question, is MyKibo a virtual marketplace? Which is a yes. So then our other question is, require documents to be able to export from Nigeria. I'll push it over to Dr. Annette to answer. Dr. Annette,
Yes.
you have the floor, please.
Yes, so for registration are the part of our vetting process, because we are vetting suppliers to make sure we have a good quality of suppliers that will create the win-win partnerships we need. So the vetting of suppliers requests the documents that Ange has pointed out. When it comes to exporting from your end into the EU and so on, I want to hand over to Ate, because Ate is the one who is running his own import company, and he's also a logistics expert with over 20 years of experience. So Ate, may I hand over to you in regards to the certification and documents you need?
Yes, so and any cross-border product would need some documentation. That depends on the relationship between Nigeria and the country you're exporting to. And if you're getting to the American market, that's a huge market. Nigeria has a relationship to them, which has to do with duties for certain products. The EU also has its relationships. For example, if you're sending out food oil, like corn oil, groundnut oil, and stuff like that, they do not have import duties. So there are many of these relationships, and you have to prove this products, the source of the products, by your certificate of origin. You have to have at least your hygiene certificate and certificate of origin. If you're manufacturing a finished product, they want to know a little bit more about your factory, where it's manufactured. Is it certified, or is it clean? Do people take care of the products when they manufacture? So basically, just think about this. The idea is that we want to be safe in any market when you import products. Everything that you need to prove to that government that that product is safe for consumption and that it is consumed in the market it comes from would be needed. These documents are easy to find. Probably you can go to some Nigerian export agency's website and look for, but it varies from market to market. Now, I also want to remind, since it's Nigeria, Britain is no longer in the EU, so they're creating new demands to ship products into the UK, but these are very available for people who live in Nigeria because of the relationship between those two countries. So there are a list of products you would have. Many times the importer would also find out those products and inform you. We have to comply to these things before we export. But from the export side, Nigeria would know more about that.
So what I would like to add maybe here, I have pointed out also earlier on that we have entered an official partnership with DHL Africa. They're headquartered in South Africa. DHL has made us aware that especially since the COVID-19, also other changes in the world, a lot of supply chain changes that are happening at this point. On top of it, we have Brexit in the European Union, which also makes things even more complex. So they made us aware that the way custom regulations and in terms of documentation at the border, and that you would need also, there's a lot of changes happening, and some of the changes are literally happening overnight. So what's true today may not be true anymore next week. And so we have the pleasure also to be able to tap into the training by DHL experts on custom regulations as it relates to certain markets and certain products. So by joining MyKibo, you will also get access to the free training and capacity building by our experts here and by the DHL team.
Thank you very much, Dr. Annette. Now we have two questions here. Is it strictly for the export of food items? And what are plans for logistics? Dr. Annette, please.
Right, every agribusiness product counts, so it does not just need to be food items. Important is that these are agribusiness products, so it could also be natural skincare products. We feature a lot of them on MyKibo, moringa oils, baobab oils, shea butter, for example. And we also plan to extend into eco-friendly products. So these may be products that are derived directly, for example, from bamboo or similar like that. So eco-friendly products will also be part of our platform. And in regards to, I think there was a follow-up question, Ate, on the logistics.
Yes, I can comment on that. We have Charlotte here, is very well versed with that. When you have challenges with logistics and issues, you contact us. On a general note, I would say if you're exporting food products, it's a different logistic chain because maybe they don't have to stay out in the sun for too long. They have to be sent through with temperature control. If you're sending bamboo products, art, it's a different logistics because it's a different demand for documentation and everything. If it's cosmetic products, it's different. So this would depend on your products. We do not build your logistics chain, of course, for you, but we help to support both the buyer and the seller if they have issues in getting the product from one end to the other. So we would have to deal with this on a case-to-case basis if it comes up. But of course, you have to be very, very aware of your logistics, and that is primarily what you want to fix before you start reaching out, actually, how you will get the product out. If you're staying far away from a DHL location, how would it get there? Are there cars that can take your product in time? Are the roads in place? And every of these things you have to figure out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Toyosi Ene. She has a question, I guess. Toyosi, you have the floor, please. Kindly unmute. Toyosi Ene, please. Emmanuel Idowu, are you there? Kindly go ahead.
Okay, good morning. My question is, why do we talking about documents needed? I would like to ask that the first document that was mentioned, which was an export certificate or something, I like to ask, how do we get it? And also, I also like to ask, what is the YouTube page, your YouTube channel, so we could actually go back and check this video. And the last question that comes from me is, you said there will be training and all of that. So how do we get the training and all of the training, and you'll get to know NACCIMA proper? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Dr. Annette, if you could permit me to answer those questions, because
sure.
There's some clarification I think I need to make for Emmanuel Idowu. Okay, so in terms of export certificate, what you need to understand is these are two different organizations. MyKibo is a platform that is connecting you to international buyers. However, as a Nigerian enterprise, you need to have conformed with the regulations here in Nigeria. So the export certificate here being referred to is your certificate as a registered exporter from the NEPC. The NEPC is the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. I'm aware that the process for obtaining this registration, this certificate is now fully online. You can visit the NEPC website on nepc.gov.ng and start the process. Secondly, MyKibo has offered that once you sign up to their platform, there are trainings that become automatically available for you. So for MyKibo trainings, I guess the first step would be to sign up to the platform. However, for trainings that require local expertise outside the influence of MyKibo, like the business development issues you may have, I would advise that you seek the nearest Chamber of Commerce to you. There are chambers of commerce in every state in the country. So you could, joining the local chamber would solve your local issues like, how do I get my NAFDAC certificate? How do I get certificates to show that I have adhered to quality standards? How do I get a testing center to prove that my products are safe for consumption? So for those kinds of trainings, you can contact NACCIMA, you can join a local city or state chamber close to you. So I think those answers the two questions. I don't know if Toyo CNA is now available to ask her question, his or her question, I think.
And I think to add the YouTube,
Oh,
the
yes,
replay will be made available, right, by you?
On YouTube, yes. So in the chat box, I put a link to our YouTube channel. However, if you're on YouTube and you search for NACCIMA, you will find our channel. It showcases videos from other webinars we've had and so on. But I've also posted a link in the chat box for everyone to see. If Toyosi isn't available, I see Adiamo Abiodun's hand is raised. Please, you have
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Okay, Toyosi first. Toyosi, please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, am I on?
Good afternoon.
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
Good afternoon. Sorry, where do we get the website to sign on to for the MyKibo? How do we sign on?
Ange?
How do we sign on?
Yes.
How do we sign on?
Yeah, so you can send your business certification license to info@mykibo and your export license at info@mykibo. You can also go on the mykibo.com website, and basically when you go there, you can type in register as a seller, and we'll be able to see your inquiry and get back to you. So yeah, those are the two ways. Did I answer your question?
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I said, how do we get your website to sign? Okay, you just posted it. Okay, yes. www.mykibo.com. Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
I got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adiamo Abiodun, you have the floor, please. Are you there, Adiamo? Moving on, let's have Samuel Bolaji.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, Adiamo, go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm happy to be part of this great webinar, and I'm so happy, I'm so grateful for the organizers and the NACCIMA and everybody. Please, unlike other platforms that I've been saying, they normally have like for you to advertise or for you to showcase your product, whether you're a manufacturer or you're a seller or you're a buyer, they normally, so we have free membership for some, while some have like gold, premium, platinum membership or something, a paid membership. And I know that's where they get their own money to run the platform. But here now, so it seems this one is free. I hope it's like we are going to get how am I going to put it? Like I hope because I think most times when people don't pay for a particular thing, they don't really like take it very serious or something. So this one, is it just free, like that we are not paying anything? That's my question.
All right. Thank you, Adiamo. I would like to answer that. So let me say a little bit something about the business concept and the kind of role you play, and in regards to the payments in particular. So as we have mentioned, promoting your products is free and it will remain free. The way how we then make sure that not everyone comes on MyKibo is by the selection process. That means you have to actually, number one, present the documents that Ange pointed out. This is part of our vetting process to make sure everyone who is featured on MyKibo is a well-reputed and orderly registered company. That's one. The second thing that I would like to mention at this point, we will actually ask for a transaction or invoice to show that you have export experience. And that is also very, very important to us, because we want to make sure that buyers across the world have a positive experience with doing business with Africa. So this is where we really have to come together, and we have to kind of build together. There are many challenges, as we know, still with doing business in Africa, be it the timing, you know, the communication, gaps in communication, packaging, the expensive shipping. There's a lot of challenges to overcome for all of us. And so we want to make sure that at least the suppliers that are featured are well reputed and they have export experience. What we do not want is then for a buyer to contact a supplier on MyKibo and then find out the person on the other end, somewhere maybe in Nigeria, does not even know exactly what they're doing because they have never really exported outside of their region. So that then allows us to create some kind of quality standard on our end, making the transactions with suppliers on MyKibo as smooth as possible for buyers. What we are planning to do in future is to possibly get a small fraction of the price of a successful transaction. So that means the promotion remains free, you selling on MyKibo remains free, but if you then decide to sell through our platform, we're looking to establish a payment platform in this regard for safe payments, since making the payments is also a struggle. So if you and the buyer then decide to make the payment transaction through our platform, then we will take a small percentage of a successful trade. The other aspect then also, as I've mentioned before, is that at this point, and over the last 2 years where we were really testing the concept, we made the money from the importer's end. So on the supplier's end, we want good quality suppliers through recommendations such as the chamber, through the documentation that we request. That's how we take care of the supplier end. The buyer end, we also want to make sure that not every Jack and Harry who comes on our website just sends out emails to you and maybe 100 other suppliers, and then you're just busy replying. So what we are doing on the buyer end is that we request for buyers to pay us to get access to you. And by doing so, we also now sieve through the suppliers. At this point, suppliers that are accessing us are actually paying $500 US. That includes training on how to import from Africa. This was part of our concept stage. And this way, we make sure that suppliers who contact you are buyers who contact you are serious. Because someone who has paid $200 or $500 just to access your information also shows you a certain amount of seriousness and readiness. Now, when I would like to share a couple of examples that we received from, just 1 second, please. So that then means the other aspect that I wanted to mention is that we have, we're gathering also feedback both from the suppliers and from the buyers. That will allow us to really understand the challenges that both have. So one of the issues is that when you try to promote your products on other platforms such as Alibaba, the feedback we have received, as you pointed out, Ademo, you have to very often pay for the membership. And then second of all is you receive a lot of requests, and it may keep you very busy to answer these requests. And we have heard here from Gorilla Coffee in Rwanda, and also another company called from cassava flour in Kenya. They said that hardly any of the requests they receive from Alibaba actually then converts into a sale. While they doing business with MyKibo, they said the majority actually converts into a sale. And that is because we have already sieved out the buyers. So that's like a little bit of an extended explanation. What I would like to add at this point, if you allow me, is I want to make very clear to you that at this point, we have just completed concept stage. That means for the last 2.5 years, we have actually built the platform and proven the concept that it works. We have not vastly promoted it yet. And that's the new phase we are entering now. We have a promotion strategy. We want to make sure this goes hand in hand with the readiness of the suppliers, meaning that right now, we still receive a lot of complaints from a lot of buyers about the lack of responsiveness of suppliers featured on MyKibo, just how slow communication is with Africa. And that is a major challenge. We have access to a pool of really powerful buyers in the West, supermarket chains, distributors. We have the contacts and we have the introductions, and we told them we are not ready for the big buyers simply because we are not ready on the supplier end. We still face too many challenges with suppliers in terms of responsiveness and other issues, and therefore we don't want to really go out there fast with promoting you, because we need to all come onto a certain level in terms of the expectations of international suppliers. Once we feel that suppliers on MyKibo are on the same page, we have gone through a certain amount of capacity building training, and we have improved collectively our responsiveness, then we can really tap into the big buyer pools that we do have in the West. So I think this is very important to mention. You know, buyers have expectations, and if a few of you let them down, you're letting all the other suppliers down too. Because what it comes down to, people will say, look, working with Africa is a headache. And we don't want that. So you're not carrying just the responsibility for you and your company, but the way how you perform will also shine on all the other suppliers in Nigeria or Africa. And that's very important to understand, and why it is so important that we have these conversations and this dialogue and sharing feedback and how we can support each other to improve our capacity and become competitive. It's really a collective effort.
Thank you very much, Dr. Annette. You've given us a limelight as to making sure that, yes, the market is available for the next party. Make sure that you create a good environment for the next party to enjoy the benefits thereof. So we'll take the three questions, the three hands together. Please be brief with your questions. We'll answer them at once, starting with Adiamo, Abiodun, Miriam Yakubu.
Yeah, Mr. Samuel here. Samuel Bolaji speaking here.
Okay, please be brief. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, I want to appreciate NACCIMA Secretariat and also MyKibo for this wonderful training. But I'll be speaking on behalf of NACCIMA Youth Entrepreneurs. I'm the National Secretary. My name is Engineer Shegun Bolaji, and I'm the National Secretary of NACCIMA Youth Entrepreneurs. The question I asked initially was been answered, and that has to do with share butter, standards for share butter. ATE has attended to that, and I've actually noted that. But my second question is, while Dr. Hannett was speaking, she mentioned that transaction invoice is one of the criteria for selection into MyKibo. But I would love to say this, that a couple of our members are young entrepreneurs. And a couple of them they've not basically exported out of Nigeria before. A couple of them also, they make very quality products that they've supplied to big supermarkets and stores in Nigeria. And we've seen cases where even some major exporters come to them to source for these products that they produce. But individually, they've not exported before. How do we assist and help these categories of young entrepreneurs? Thank you very much.
Next question, Miriam Yakubu.
All right, good day, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Like I know other B2B platforms that charge a huge sum of money just to be registered to sell on their platform. Thank you, MyKibo, for this opportunity. Now, the last speaker asked one of my questions on we that have not exported before, even though we are registered with Export Council. Now, my other question is, I'm in Kebbi State in Nigeria, and how do we get to our buyers if they request? Since you are in collaboration with DHL, does that mean we will take our products to DHL, then DHL will process and export it? I really need to know about that. Then someone asked about how to register with Export Council. Now, if the person is still here, all you need to do is you need to be registered with CAC, a limited liability, or an NGO, or as a cooperative. Then you go to their website and register. You will get your CAC certificate within 24 hours. If you have your CAC certificate, or you register with an NGO or cooperative society. Basically, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question, Dr. Noah. Dr.
Good
Noah.
afternoon, and well done for your part. Actually, what we are into production of fish powder, fish oil, smoked fish, and the fatted chicken. Well, answered by the process, so I don't need to repeat same again. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me come in here. So
thank you very much. The last.
Oh, sorry, Babatunde. Yes, you. Babatunde.
Hello. Yes. Can we just take Joachim and Tosin, and that will be all? Yes, please. Joachim, kindly unmute. Okay. I guess she's not available. Tosin Edon, can you go ahead? Kindly go ahead with the Dr. Annette. Can go ahead.
Okay, yes, sure, thank you. So in regards to the question.
Hello, Dr. Annette.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Go ahead,
okay.
Please.
Thank you. So in regards to the question by Samuel Bolaji and also by our sister Mariam, so I hear you in regards of, many of the entrepreneurs and manufacturers being young entrepreneurs or being at the start of their business journey and not having exported before. And of course, we want to support in particular the youth. However, I think it is very, very important that we take a long-term approach to it. We all want to win in this. So we want to create win-win situations for everyone involved, including the buyer, including the supplier, and us as the leader of this marketplace. And what we have really identified is what I touched upon before, is that there are so many challenges when doing business with Africa. And we are getting a lot of these complaints, let's say, for people who are then contacting suppliers via our platform. And then, there are things that are not in place or that are simply much slower than they would get when dealing with suppliers in the West. And these challenges are really major work for us to overcome in order to make sure that this marketplace is one that becomes efficient, becomes attractive to buyers, and therefore all of you can sell more as a result. If we then now onboard young entrepreneurs who do not really know what they're doing. They may have great products, I absolutely agree, fantastic products, even fantastic branding, but they're new to the world of business and trading. They're not really aware of the steps and some of the details and the challenges that may occur when shipping to the US or shipping to Sweden or the UK, because they have never done any exports before. Now we're adding another challenge to the board game, and that is the challenge of really teaching them how to do it. Now, the problem, however, is that this will create even more delays, more frustration on the buyer end, because the supplier then, instead of saying, okay, this is what we have to do, A, B, C, D, the new entrepreneur may not exactly know what to do, and that increases the risk for the buyer. The risk and a delay in time. What we want to do is we want to cut down time, cost, and risk for the buyer when doing business with Africa. So I say it again, we want to cut down time, cost, and risk. And bringing in the new entrepreneurs simply brings in new challenges, which in the end, I believe, will have a detrimental effect to all of us. So what I think is, maybe the chamber, or other export centers that do capacity building, help the new entrepreneur and the youth to really make their first sale outside of Africa or outside of Nigeria, because we're also including intra-African trade now since COVID, so that at least the experience is in place and we can cut down the risk for the buyers. That is the long-term approach we have to take collectively. Even if it means that we have cut some people out for the time being, it will help us to all win in the longer run. Quickly, in regards to DHL, maybe Ate, would you like to, Mariam's question, how does it work with DHL, our partnership, what do they have to do?
Yes, I see also somebody asked if MyKibo takes care of the shipping fee. So as we've said many times, we just have to precise again, MyKibo is a platform where facilitator, we are not involved in your business transaction. Your payments and everything that's between you and the buyer. We help you by signing a deal with MyKibo so you get cheaper rates, but we do not participate in your business transaction per se. When it comes to the question Sister Miriam asked about getting products to the buyer, this is a typical business problem and not necessarily something special for MyKibo. Now, DHL is present in many African countries. I think of the global shipping companies, they are the most present. But there are others who are there who can get your product, or local transportation and logistics companies that can get your products from wherever you are to the nearest DHL location where you can get your rate. So you have to deal with, this is where NACCIMA and all the chamber comes in to help the local, Nigeria is a very, very big country, to help everyone in every corner where they are to get access to the chain, to the value chain or logistic chain that gets their product from wherever they're packing and growing the product to the nearest DHL location. So at the moment, our deal is with DHL. Maybe in the future, through partnerships like this, we may sign for some local logistics company that goes from that maps the entire country and gets your products to DHL, but that is not even on the table at the moment. We're not discussing that. That's just an idea I'm saying because we're talking about this. So don't quote me. So basically, you have to find a local solution for your product to get to the nearest DHL location. And DHL has told us that they can collect from many locations on the continent. So you may contact the DHL office in Lagos or Abuja or somewhere, the bigger cities, and ask if they can collect. Maybe they have a local partner already who can get your products to DHL. But when you ask the question, you use the word DHL pack and process, DHL doesn't do anything with your product. You have to package your product, as I talked about, package for export, agree with your buyer, agree with the quantity of the product, and then send that to DHL. And I would just want to add one thing. DHL has an issue with people saying the product weighs 15 kilograms. And when it reaches DHL, you've delivered it to them, they weigh before they send out and it's 20 kilograms. They would charge your buyer for those 5 kilograms and your buyer would definitely not buy from you again. So you have to weigh your product and be sure of the weight of your products, the size of your products when you send it to DHL. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, maybe to just briefly add, so Mariam, basically what we've done is a partnership to cut down the cost. So for Nigeria, we get like 15 to 20% reduction for your sample shipments. If you go through MyKibo, we have a designated email address for DHL that you can use. You will then be identified as a MyKibo supplier, and then you get like around a 15 to 20% cut on your shipment. That you can then, of course, pass on to the buyer, because that is a major problem, that the expensive rates that we're facing in Africa. We are in talks, we're assessing, let's say, to become a real partner to DHL, meaning that all the shipment transactions would go through MyKibo in future, which means we would need to administer those transactions for shipment, and that would allow for cut in shipment cost for you to 50 and 60%, which is of course significant. But we need to really assess the legal responsibilities for us being based here in Rwanda, and if this is something we can handle as a small startup. I hope, yeah, we answered your question. Someone said that they were unable, maybe just quickly, someone was saying they were unable to access MyKibo. If you could, because we realized we had the platform updated by web developers, and the majority can access it, but for some reason there's a few people who cannot access MyKibo, which is very strange. So please, in the chat box, if it doesn't come up on your browser, let us know. Are you using laptop, phone, and which browser you are using? Is it Explorer or Google Chrome? So we can look into this. So please use another laptop or another computer to access it. It will be possible. Okay, laptop. Yes, thank you.
Dr. Anna, I just want to add, I've lost it too, so I think it's a problem with the developing. I have lost access to MyKibo too on the same platform I used to have it on.
Okay, so maybe they're doing some updates.
Doing some work, yes.
Yes, they're doing some work on it. Please try again later.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Harnett. Thank you so much, Ate and Charlotte. Before we take any further questions, I just want to recognize the presence of the Director General of NACCIMA, Ambassador Ayola Olukoni, the former Ambassador of Nigeria to Australia, New Zealand, and concurrent accreditation to the island of Vanuatu and Papua New Guinea. Although he is already on the agenda to give the vote of thanks, I do feel that at this point, he's definitely going to have some remarks as to the work MyKibo is doing and the activities of NACCIMA and possible ways that we could collaborate on this. DG, sir, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much, Okwe. I also want to say thank you to our colleagues and my dear sister, Dr. Harnett, my brother, Kibong, and every other person, our partners on the MyKibo side. I first must say that, you know, like the saying goes, that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And I think this is a major step we have taken today. I'm very, very glad, very happy with it, that we are doing this. I come into this business as a former foreign service officer, a career diplomat in Nigerian diplomatic service, close to 35 years, served in our missions in Brussels, Belgium, mission to the EU. I also served 2 times in the permission of Nigeria to the UN. And I'm also privileged to have served also in Tel Aviv for 4 years. And then I was in Nairobi in Kenya, and then also was in Vienna as well before my appointment as ambassador to, and then posted to Australia as High Commissioner. And like Ope said, I have concurrent accreditations to New Zealand, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and Vanuatu. And in the course of all this journey, I've also seen the whole issues of the struggle as far as expanding into African trade. Very little trading going on between us. And that's why I'm indeed very glad that we have moved on to this stage. I retired about 5 years from the foreign service, and then I started this assignment after that retirement. And in the course of my own work in those places, I've seen most of the issue which has been raised in terms of how do we get our products out there. The last place I served, like I said, is Australia. And that's one of the places in the world, the toughest biosafety laws in the world. Those of us who know it. And I'm very, very much aware of the African professionals in Australia who are also trying to do some trading, bring in goods from Africa. And all the issues which have been mentioned here, of course, key in terms of what's the quality of the goods, the whole question of packaging, and also the prices and issues which Dr. Hannett has raised. The question of payments, how do we get across that? Maybe perhaps we can say thanks to COVID-19, all of us have now woken up to it, that physical distance should not prevent us from trading. And of course, this is what we are doing today. And that's why I'm very happy. It has been said that, look, MyKibo is a platform to facilitate. The facilitators are very, very important. That's what we have seen. That's what COVID-19 has taught us. And I'm indeed very glad that one of the lessons also is we've keyed on to the digital ecosystem. And in terms of virtual discussions and meetings, if we want to do this before COVID-19, I'm sure we'll have to be writing emails to Dr. Hannett and her colleagues. We will still be discussing when are we going to visit, when are you going to come to Nigeria? The question of visas, the ticket is too much. Yeah, Rwanda is charging us. Are we going to come through KQ or, on and on and on and on and on like that. Here we are discussing with ourselves and doing concrete things. So I'm indeed very glad that we're having this discussion. This is going to be one of the first in the series. And of course, I think, and we are doing it at the right time. The AFCTA is here, the African Free Trade Conference. It is, in fact, indeed, perhaps maybe that's one of the places we should start in terms of focusing on how we can get. And I, like I said, as a former career diplomat, I know out there, people get across to me every day. Please, how can you help us? They are asking for Nigerian product in these places. They're asking for product from Africa from these places. They're having something from Ghana. They're asking for shea butter. A whole lot of questions. It is left for the two of us, MyKibo as well as NACCIMA. What we have started, let us give it the correct, let us give it the push. Let us stay the course. Let us keep on this momentum. And I'm sure we can be rest assured that. And of course, you can't get it better. NACCIMA is it. I mean, we were talking about over 30,000 businesses, chambers of commerce across the country. For real, it is true, Nigeria is it. Either we like it or not. And so that's why, of course, I'm indeed very glad that we're having this discussion. And I want to thank Ope, I want to thank Dr. Hannett, and the team on the MyKibo side who has made sure that we have what we're having today. So let us give it a push. Let us work on it. We are totally committed to it. And I want to say rest assured. Like I said, 4 years in Nairobi, I also have a close relationship with a lot of my colleagues and friends who, the former High Commissioner George, who was the ambassador of Rwanda, and also a few other colleagues whom I also work with on another front as far as Rwanda itself and other African countries themselves are concerned. So thank you very much. I think I'm almost also saying, I'm talking about maybe closing remarks. Maybe if I'm going to do that, I'll just simply come back to this, my remarks. But the opportunity is before us, and I'm sure our two organizations are really, really positioned and can do it, can make sense out of this. And of course, and I'm indeed very glad that, like Dr. Hannah said, it took time, that's taking time to bring MyKibo up to this level. Thus, it has taken 60 years for NACCIMA to be where it is today. So we have a lot of history behind us. Let us also make history as far as our relationship itself is concerned. I think that's what I have at this stage. I hope it's not been too long. For us, it is the heart of the matter. Let us also make it a matter of the heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, DG. But like we said, you're still on the card, on the agenda to give closing remarks, vote of thanks. So what we'll just do is just take the final round of questions. We still have some hands raised, but before I call on them, there are quite some interesting questions in the chat box. We'll just take them all. Hopefully, Dr. Annette, you could note them and then answer them all at the same time. So we do have also with us, we did not mention it at the beginning, but I'm sure most of the participants are aware that NACCIMA is the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. So what this means is that our primary members are chambers of commerce themselves. We have among our participants some executive secretaries and DGs of city chambers. For example, there's a question from Dr. Ken Asimita, who is the executive secretary of the Calabar Chamber of Commerce. Calabar is a city within the southeastern part of Nigeria. And he has asked if there is a possibility of city chambers collaborating with MyKibo to build the capacity of new, inexperienced, and prospective exporters to address the challenge of time, cost, and risk for both the buyers and sellers. I believe this question is an offshoot of the one raised by Engineer Bolaji as to the fact that a substantial number of members can produce products of quality but may be inexperienced. So there's that question. And I think there's another by Adiamo Abiodun, who also has his hands raised. But however, his question is, are the current logistics limited to air cargo? I know Atu has already mentioned in the chat box that MyKibo is only facilitating. So if you actually have other means of carrying out your logistics, you're free to do that. So that being said, I think I'll call on Emmanuel Idowu, Ademo Abiodun, Miriam Yakubu. Your hands are still raised. If you have questions, we could take this final round before we end. Okay, so Miriam first.
Okay, I'm here, Miriam Yakubu. Thank you very much. Hello? Am I on?
Go ahead, Miriam. Miriam first, then Emmanuel. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Okay, my question is to the DG of NACCIMA. I'm happy to see you, sir. Thank you very much. I know of Kesima in Kebbi. Now, my question is are we supposed to be members as SMEs? Are we supposed to be members of this association? And if yes, how do we register? Thank you very much.
Okay, so Emmanuel.
Good afternoon. Thank you, DG NACCIMA. Thank you, Dr. Annette, and all the facilitators. It's really a great time being here and learning and hearing some of these views on exports. However, the question I like to ask have been asked, and the question is, since MyKibo is an online platform and then NACCIMA is another body entirely, so how do we get to register with NACCIMA? And is it a criteria to work with MyKibo and all of that? Then if it is necessary to register with NACCIMA, how do we go about it? How do we then become a member of NACCIMA? I'm Emmanuel and I stay in Lagos. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Then Adiamo Abiodun has his hands raised as well, if you have a final question. And then we take Ola Adedoyin, and that will be it. Okay, if Adiamo is not available, Ola Adedoyin, could you? And well, Tosin Edun I've been trying to allow to. Okay, if Tosin Edun is also available to speak.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Edun Tosin. I'm the president of the Farmers Cooperative Society in Abeokuta, Ogun State here. And our cooperative society is a member of the Abeokuta Chamber of Commerce. We just newly acquired our processing plant where we process dry smoked fish, especially in fillet form, that is boneless. Although my question has been answered, I've been asked, which is we just get our certificate, but we are young and we are ready. We have a good ground to produce, but our challenge is that they said those that will join MyKibo must have good financial record. we are still very young. We are just around close to a year old, and we want to know how we can be able to benefit from MyKibo. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tosin, for that question. So I think I only have Ola Adedoyin left, if he's available to ask his question. If not, Dr. Annette, over to you, madam. The questions that are related to MyKibo, then I will take the questions related to NACCIMA.
Hello. Hello.
Okay,
This
Ola
Ola and
Adedoyin is here.
Joachim.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Yeah, my name
Good
is Ola
afternoon, sir.
Adedoyin. Afternoon, how are you? I'm a member of Abeokuta Chamber of Commerce and Industry, NACCIMA. Yeah, my question is almost to the last, related to the last question that the guy asked. I'm into catfish processing, dried catfish. So my question now is that in terms of the catfish going to UK, do we still need any further documentation, or when we get to DHL, we just need to identify ourselves as one of the members of the chamber, or how can we go about it, please? Hello?
Thank you very much for that question. Yes, we got it, and perhaps I might even refine that question a bit more. But however, let me have Joachim Marianne ask her question first.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Joachim Marianne. Okay, so I think I can have the MyKibo team answer the questions, but with regards to Mr. Ola Adedoyin, okay, Joachim is here. Go ahead, madam.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Please.
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
I'm a young farmer. I'm a young farmer. My name is Joachim Mary. I'm calling from Enugu. I have a cassava. So can I export it to UK?
Okay. I'm sure that question will be answered. Yes. Then now, okay, Aisha Suleiman, I guess this will be the final question. Please go ahead. Okay. No response from Aisha. So with regards to Mr. Ola Adedoyin's question, Ate, I was wondering, could you maybe perhaps go through a scenario of maybe using Joachim Marianne, who has cassava in Enugu? What would be the process, if you could just play it scenario by scenario, what would be the process for him to eventually be able to export to the UK? And what would be MyKibo's role in this process? So starting from market sourcing, would he have to be the one to find his potential market, or that would be what MyKibo would do? What would be the role with regards to the Nigerian local standards of quality versus what the UK would require as per national regulations versus what the specific buyer would require as per regulations? Then the scenario of how does he get the products from himself, his cassava, to the UK? And then since MyKibo is just facilitating, how does payments, just paint an example, a picture of a hypothetical of how these processes would occur until Joachim eventually receives the money for his product. So, and then Dr. Annette could take the other questions while I take the questions directed to NACCIMA. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. First, the person or the business would join MyKibo. And on MyKibo, we continuously promote your products to buyers. A buyer would see the product, a picture of the product or your company information, and would contact you. You would answer them fast, very fast, and give them your price list, all the documentation you have in your local market for your product. How you produce, your export documents, of course, would have been registered with MyKibo. and how much they want. You would agree with the buyer if you're talking about a sample or you're talking about a purchase directly. These communications start by the buyer contacting you through the email or information you've left. So you'll be contacted through MyKibo platform normally for the first contact. Thereafter, you would email and transact with each other. Some people go over to WhatsApp for easy communication until there is a purchase. Now, when that time comes and they say, I want 10 kilograms for sample. If it's a sample product, you would prepare the export documents. It means you mark it as a sample. You get all your local documents ready. It is the buyer who would then tell you what is needed in the UK for that product to get into the UK. They would give you a list of these products, requirements, and you would make those requirements locally. It is not necessarily up to the exporter in Nigeria to go find out what is happening in the UK. But when they give you a list of documents they need, you would help to find those documents. Those documents would follow the product. Now, hopefully, the laws have not changed from the last time your buyer knew, as Dr. Harnett touched into, and the documents they've asked you are the most relevant. You package your product plus the documents and send a picture normally to your buyer, who would accept that that is what I want, it is packed well and everything is right. And that product would have to be transferred to the nearest DHL service center. Now, this is a local problem you have to solve. If you're sending it on a motorbike, if you're sending it on a local bus, just make sure if you're packing a food product, as we're talking about cassava, you don't want to put it on top of a bus and get dust on it. DHL will clean it, take it off, and bill somebody, either you, mostly the buyer. So the transaction and the payment that would have happened at that point is you would have sent a bill or invoice to the buyer, and they would have hopefully paid for the product. In the future, what we see is as MyKibo goes into being part of this payment transaction, it is either holding the money until the buyer is satisfied with the product, which is what, for example, eBay does, or some kind of way of making sure both sides are satisfied with the product. Sometimes we realize that buyers, sellers in the, the suppliers do not have enough money to complete the product to send, and they wish to get some payment beforehand. That is an agreement you have to do with your buyer. Once that transaction is done, which at the moment is outside MyKibo, and it's accepted, you will take the product, of course, as I said, to DHL. When you arrive at DHL, you would say this is going under MyKibo. You would inform DHL local office that this is a MyKibo trade. They will check in their system and find the rates for MyKibo, which they will offer you. And then the product will be sent out. And as I said before, you have to make sure the product has, you have packed well. So if DHL is going to put this on the plane, it's going to be bulked and hit. It has to come safe as you packed it. The volume, the size of the box, the weight of the box has to be given to the buyer, the right one, so that DHL gives the right price. As I say, if DHL realizes that the price, this is extremely critical because this has happened to my company several times. When DHL realizes that the price, the volume and weight that has been given by the supplier is too low compared to what they're actually going to do, they would charge your buyer. And for me, that was the end of trade because the deviation was so big, we're talking 10, 12 kilos. So that was a deliberate attempt to give a lower price. So these are things that you have to do. And if you want to build long-lasting relationships, like we talked about, weigh correctly, pack correctly, and take. So that is basically the transaction process. This is like any other business transaction process. The only difference is you will meet that person on MyKibo. You will talk to the person on MyKibo, and you would know that the buyers on MyKibo are people who are serious. And when they contact you, we expect a certain level of service in order for you to get that sale. So if there's anything any of my colleagues want to add to this, please go ahead at this point.
All right. Thank you so much, Ate. I'm taking over for the rest of the questions. As we can see, there's a lot of questions in regards. We've already started kind of a training capacity building aspect. Just shows the great need for that, and I look forward to to really host training events where we can dive into these questions more. Today is more of an introduction, so we'll try to be brief and short. In regards to the city chamber cooperation and capacity building for new entrepreneurs, there's two answers. The first answer I give is I'm a business person who always tries to focus and simplify. We already have a lot to juggle. So the training of new entrepreneurs is almost like a different area. However, what I would like to do with the team, since we are providing capacity building for suppliers on MyKibo anyway, I want to assess with my team, the pros and cons of maybe taking on board during the training some of the groups that the city chambers and also the youth associations are related to, so that at least they can attend the training and then work towards meeting some of the conditions to join MyKibo and making their first export. So I would say we shall get back to you on that. Ange, please take a note for this particular point. Are we doing only air cargo? No, absolutely not. As we've already said, we're only a connection platform. We're connecting the buyer and the seller. Everything goes, you take it from there. The DHL partnership is only based on air cargo shipments. However, you can take any other of your freight forwarders and utilize them. We also partnered with a Ghanaian company called Swiftly. So you can also reach out to Swiftly. They're a price comparison platform and logistics platform for Africa. So swiftly.com also will put you in touch with cargo agents and freight forwarders across the continent. Number three, I will leave it to Jeremy in regards to NACCIMA registration, but you do not have to be registered with NACCIMA in order to join MyKibo. Number four, yeah, I've answered this in regards to the Farmer Association, the question by Tosin Idun. Again, let's see how we can maybe assist in the capacity building. This is something we need to assess again in the team. However, what we have done to kind of bring the hurdle for entry down a little bit, we have now included on MyKibo intra-African trade. And of course, when we're looking at the intra-African trade aspect, there is less in regards to the quality control and kind of restrictions. So the reason why we included intra-African trade was actually because of the COVID pandemic. We want to make sure that we diversify risk for our company, but also for suppliers in Africa. So by really allowing for intra-African trade on the platform, we have a little, when you kind of register, you then show your export experience. Is it across the world or is it in Africa only? And therefore buyers can see, do you have the export experience to the US, for example, or do you only have the export experience in intra-African? So that then allows to take the hurdle down for some of the newer suppliers who may be just doing trade in the region. In regards to the fish to UK, again, DHL and the team in DHL will provide training in regards to custom regulations and where to find that information. But generally speaking, these kind of certifications always change, especially now with Brexit and COVID and so on. So we will see if we can create a link to the team in DHL, but you can reach out to DHL to ask exactly for the certification required to cross the border into the UK. In regards to cassava to the UK, it's been answered. Maybe what I want to say is also to kind of take like a global perspective in what's really happening on the globe. If you're looking at cassava is consumed inside of Africa or by the diaspora based in the UK, for example. So you have a relatively small market outside of Africa. It is a diaspora market and it's quite limited. Even not every African eats cassava, so myself, I'm from Eritrea, Ethiopia, for example, we don't even know cassava. So you have a very limited kind of buyer group for that if you export the raw cassava. However, if you're then thinking, excuse me just a moment. If you then, however, think about really featuring for the global market, you need to think about cassava flour, which is a gluten-free flour that can be used across the market, across the globe in the West for baking. When we're looking at a gluten-free market worldwide, it is a fast-growing market in the West. It's becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry. So it's also about thinking outside of the box. That is what we know in Africa, and thinking, okay, what does the global market want? And cassava flour processed for exports, of course, quality controls need to be in place, have a much bigger market than the raw cassava outside of Africa. And then there was another interesting question I picked up. Is it a business to consumer platform, MyKibo? This is a very good question. The answer is no. We're actually a business to business platform. We will be promoting to importers, distributors, retailers, and so on. So buyers who buy larger amounts from you. Having said that, I really want to stress again at this point, we have just left concept stage. And therefore, during the concept stage, we have started with new startups, importers, across the West, especially in the United States and Europe. With the diaspora, those were our, these were the people we proved the concept with. So we had a lot of success stories of people really trying to start a new business as an importer in the US, for example, in New York, and someone starting with a sample, not really knowing what they're doing, and then a few months down the line, importing their first container of goods. Ate, who is in the room with us, he has many years of expertise in logistics with one of the biggest pharmaceuticals in Europe, but he has also become an importer. And he has started very small using our platform and has really grown it. Now, I don't know, Ate, how many retailers do you have? Over 20, I think.
We have 27 retailer shops where we sell our product.
Fantastic. So can you see, he has started with a small sample shipment through MyKibo. He was part of our testing group, and now he's already, his products are featured, his African products are featured in 27 retail outlets in Norway and Sweden. So that means we also very much believe that the diaspora who understands our product, but they can also become, ambassadors almost, to our products and brands and countries in the countries that they reside in. And that's how we proved our concept. Therefore, to all of you, it means that at this stage, you will get smaller orders, usually a maximum of a container, because as we said, we have to build this step by step. We cannot reach out to the really large buyers if we are feeling we're not up to scratch and we cannot really meet their expectations. So let's build this together. A lot of patience is required from all ends. A longer term vision is required from all of us. It's very much, I believe, very much a collective effort. But again, we are taking this time an African approach, something even as much as I love Jack Ma from Alibaba. I think he's a very good business person, a very humble man who loves Africa. But at the end of the day, Alibaba is a Chinese company for Chinese suppliers foremost. And we're trying as MyKibo to really become relevant to the continent of Africa. And I myself have worked for the last 20 years with farmers on the continent, starting from 1999. And it was always about the empowerment of the rural communities and now job creation in the cities. So, let's build this together. This is what is required. And yeah, my final words maybe, okay, shall I dive into my final words? I have a couple of sentences I always say, or do you want to come in first and then Just
No,
looking at the
please
time.
go ahead. Please go ahead, madam. Yeah, Dr.
I
Hannah.
finalized.
If you do that, then I answer the NACCIMA questions. Then the DG gives the closing remarks, because we are approaching 15 minutes beyond the time. So please go ahead.
Absolutely. Okay, great. So I have almost said it all. I think one aspect that I would really like to mention here, because I feel it's hugely important and it's very close to my heart, is very briefly that of climate change. And we are integrating the issue of climate change in MyKibo, and we believe that we are probably the first trading platform you know, in Africa at least, that does that. The reason why this is so important is because we in the diaspora, unfortunately, you know, we have really both sides. We can see what's happening in the Western world, because we have lived there or we are still based there. And what we can see is a huge change in consumer habits, consumer trends, and also in policies as it relates to climate change. It is happening already. And the problem very often with Africa is that we are the last to catch up. And, you know, it is very important in my view that we prepare early. And therefore in MyKibo, we are going to integrate the aspect of climate change. So what we are going to do, all trade transactions are going to be made carbon efficient. We have partnered with a company called 8 Billion Trees. That means whenever you make a transaction and shipment, we are going to offset the carbons for the carbon emissions for that trade by planting trees across the world and including in Africa. That is just one way to do it. We will also require for buyers to make a contribution for the carbon emissions. That's the second thing. This will not be optional, in my view. This should be compulsory. And number three, usually the amounts are quite small. And number three, we also want to educate suppliers about making your products environmentally friendly, be it in regards to the packaging. Let me tell you, for example, here we have one of the biggest companies, which is a cassava flour exporter here in Rwanda. They're the biggest in Africa, I believe. They have been co-funded by the Rwandan government. Now they're private. They had terrible packaging, terrible branding. They finally upgraded it, and I was so happy to hear that they upgraded it. And then they gave me the pack, and I could not believe they have packed their flour in plastic. I mean, this is like going backwards again, because first of all, no one in Europe buys flour in plastic anyway. All flour is always packaged in Europe in paper, number one. And number two, consumers in Europe are so environmental friendly focused now, especially for a higher end product, such as gluten-free cassava flour. And people will make buying decisions where they will not buy your product because it is packaged in plastic. And this is kind of the market feedback that we have, because we lived in the West, we are based in or still based in the West, or we have the experts. And that is the kind of communication and the conversations we have to have. Climate change will be big on MyKibo. We need to be prepared as Africa, and we need to be well prepared. Otherwise, we'll be the ones losing out again, catching up later than anyone else. So again, thank you so much for NACCIMA. I also want to thank the Ambassador Ayo for your beautiful, enthusiastic remarks. I really appreciate it. Also your input in really empowering Nigeria and the African continent, and your enthusiasm in regards to the cooperation. To the team at NACCIMA, thank you so much for making this happen. And I want to repeat here, we are working with many export promotion authorities, with many chamber of commerce across the continent. And I said it to the team of NACCIMA last time, Nigeria in this regard was the most effective, the most responsive, and the most professional, including this webinar, which was the idea by NACCIMA. So we're very proud that you're taking the lead. And we look very much forward to making this happen. Patience is in order, professionalism, and a great vision for the future. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hannett. Once again, I apologize to all the participants. We've taking 15 more minutes of your time just to quickly answer the outstanding question of how to join NACCIMA, and then hand the floor to the DG for the closing remarks. I know there are so many other questions that participants want to ask, but the MyKibo details were shared. I'm going to also try and share the screen again in case you missed it. If you have other questions for them, you can send an email to info@mykibo.com. With regards to joining NACCIMA, like I said before, NACCIMA is an association of chambers of commerce. So if you happen to belong to a chamber that is a member of NACCIMA, then you are automatically a member of NACCIMA. So to the lady who is already a member of the KB Chamber of Commerce, the KB Chamber of Commerce is a member of NACCIMA. So this makes you a member of NACCIMA. However, membership to NACCIMA is voluntary. So if you happen to belong to a Chamber of Commerce that is not yet a member of NACCIMA, then you are not yet a member of NACCIMA. You could join NACCIMA you could also join NACCIMA directly as a corporate member. Details of that are available on our website, or you could send an email to info@naccima.com. You could also join NACCIMA by joining one of our trade groups. So if you join the NACCIMA Business Women Group, so perhaps you're an SME and you don't feel like you have the financial clout to join a city chamber or the financial clout to become a corporate member, you could join any of the state chapters. There are 36 states in Nigeria, 37 if you include the Federal Capital Territory. So you could join any of the state chapters of the trade groups, the NACCIMA Business Women Group, NAWORG, or the NACCIMA Youth Entrepreneurs. There are other trade groups you can find on our website, but once you join any of those, you get some benefits of NACCIMA membership. So I guess those answer the questions with regards to joining NACCIMA. And with this, I would hand the floor to Ambassador Ayola Olukoni for the closing remarks. Like I said before, the recording of this webinar will be available on our YouTube page. So if there's anything you think you missed due to connectivity issues, you can always go back and watch it. Thank you so much, the MyKibo team, for your compliments. Ambassador Ayola Olukoni, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much once again, okay. And I also want to thank Dr. Hannett as well as Tim, my dear brother, and our partners on the MyKibo site. I think I've spoken enough in my earlier intervention. I think the most important thing is to start this engagement, which has been in the works for a long time. And I'm indeed very glad that finally we've taken off. Let us sustain the momentum. There's so many things which will still be the question of past for our respective members who will participate will also be there. I'm very fond of saying that, in the aviation circuit, there is what is called CAT, which stands for Clear Air Turbulence. So when you run into clear air turbulence in the course of flying, of course, the captain disengages the autopilot to fly the plane. So we will expect all these will be part of things which we have to go through. But the most important thing is we've taken the step today. Let us also develop a program of action in terms of consolidating the links between the two of us, MyKibo on your side, NACCIMA on our side too as well. We've had such relationship with some other outfit like this, especially online digital networking, as well as relationship like this. So let us consolidate it. From the questions which has been asked, the planet as well as that, you will see how enthusiastic people are. That look, the opportunities that have been opened up to expand trading, intra-African trading, through the digital ecosystem. We talk about the things we have with AfroExim in terms of the PAPS system as well. The whole question of possibility of paying fintech, of course, has also been developed as well to an extent now, which means that we have instruments, we have facilities, we have platforms we can use to complement what we are doing on our side. I want to use this opportunity once again to reassure you of commitment of NACCIMA to this relationship to ensure that it does yield practical benefits, especially, at the end of the day, we're not just doing it for ourselves alone. The whole question of poverty that still plagues Africa is there, the well-being of our people. This is the ultimate aim. We're not doing this just for the sake of doing it, to impact, of course, on our people. The whole question of Africa being the future. I mean, like I said, as a former career diplomat several times, and 2 times the permission in New York, when the figures come, Africa is always on the bottom line. If you look at the SDG, it is always us. This is one of the ways to get out of this rut. This is one of the ways to uplift ourselves, the well-being of our people, empower people, put money in their pocket, and of course, take our continent onto. They say Africa is a future continent. It is, and I know that. Definitely, that's why I know that we can do. When I was in Australia, was the African Down Under Mining Conference. The Australians struggled to bring all African minister of solid minerals to Australia in Perth, Western Australia. And I asked ourselves, why are they doing this? It's a reflection of the potentials of our country, of our continent. And I think this is why, of course, I'm indeed very glad with this. Please let us stay in touch with each other. And I sincerely hope that when, thanks to the vaccine, when the COVID-19 is vanquished, to supplement what we are doing today, perhaps we'll look forward to also visiting Rwanda, and of course, and also, of course, we also extending an invitation to you to find time to swing by also, a lovely city. And I'm sure, you know, in the area of the creativity sector, you will have no objection to listen to, great Nigerian music. Also have a taste of what exactly the culture, what we have to offer to us, well, just like I know what you also have to offer. So once again, thank you very much. I want to thank all participants, our chamber members who have been on this. This is a reflection of what we can bring to membership of NACCIMA. And I will want more who have not joined to please join NACCIMA so that you can have access and of course, once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate this. Please kindly, all of us, I think, enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, DG. So, do you have any last final words?
Okay, before we go, if I can just pop it in quickly, just for information that we do have, at the last AGM, we've also elected a new national president in person of Ide Udiabala, who is our national president now, who has also underscored the importance of youth entrepreneurs and also underscored the importance of the digital ecosystem as a very, very important aspect of upscaling the activities of NACCIMA, and also, of course, our role as far as Africa itself is concerned in context of the FCTA. So we have a national president in terms of the political leadership as well. We have a solid backing from him as far as our assignment and what we are doing here today is concerned. Of course, we report to him, we report to the presidency of what we have done today in terms of giving the vision of a new leadership of NACCIMA, practical step by what we are doing with MyKibo. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, DG.
Thank you, sirs, for the nice words. We hope to start up something from all our participants. We'll be available at our end to attend to your questions going forward. That will be all from us. Thank you very much. Do have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.